Forget the cave. What are Platonic forms really like? I work on ancient philosophy and I want you to forget Plato's allegory of the cave. Plato's allegory of the cave is typically used to explain Platonic forms. It is the example that he uses in his work The Republic. Have you heard of Plato's allegory of the cave before? To briefly remind you of that which you're supposed to forget in a minute, the picture painted is that we're all prisoners, stuck in a cave, looking at pictures on the wall. It is only when we exit the cave and see the real objects in the world out there that we can recognize the shadows for what they really are. Just shadows. However, there are a few issues with this allegory, which I will go over in a minute. And after that, I want to propose an alternative, an explanation formulated by Eudoxus, a student of Plato. And I want to tell you why you should remember that instead. So, there are 3 problems with Plato's allegory of the cave. The first one is that it's unclear. What does it mean for something to be a shadow object? How are we supposed to picture these real objects out there? It's just unclear. The second one is one of historical context. It is very difficult to square the allegory of the cave with what other people at the time were doing. Other people at the time were doing metaphysics. They were figuring out the building blocks of the universe. And all of a sudden, Plato calls a second universe into existence. This is odd. The third issue is that it's not clear which issue Plato is trying to solve here. Now, I want to solve these issues by focusing on Eudoxus' explanation, and I would like for you to imagine a golden ring. So, the ring is made of gold. We have a perceivable object, the ring, and we have something which is just made out of the gold, which is the form. Now, what happens if we melt the golden ring? The ring will be gone. However, we will still have gold. So the perceivable object will perish, just as Plato says that the objects in our world will disappear, whilst gold is everlasting. Even with melting, we will not make it go away, it is still there. And what about the melting point of gold? The melting point of gold is 1064.43 degrees Celsius. But the melting point of the ring is not exactly that. It will be somewhere around that, but it is not exactly that. And this is why the forms, such as gold, can be objects of science because they're exact and perfect, whereas the objects in the perceivable world, like the ring, are not. Now, to come back to the 3 issues I formulated earlier. To solve the issue of unclarity, we have much better intuitions about a golden ring than about shadow objects and 2 different realms. Second, it fits better with historical context. The predecessors were working on the different building blocks of the universe, much like Legos, and they also were trying to explain how we can imagine change. For example, if we have an object made of Lego, if we picture the building blocks like that, we can take away a few blue Legos and add a few red ones instead. So thinking of it as elements is something that his predecessors would have done. Third, which issue is Plato trying to address here? Well, we can also imagine a golden necklace. And we can see that both the necklace and the ring have something in common, namely the gold. And this is what Plato is trying to address. He wants a way for us to recognize concepts shared between objects. And his solution for this is forms. Now, in conclusion, I hope to have shown you why this example of the golden ring makes more sense than Plato's allegory of the cave. And I hope that it has helped you and that your picture of Platonic forms is now clearer than the blurry shadow on the cave wall. Thank you.